The sun had barely set over the sprawling desert base, casting long shadows across the research facility, hidden deep underground. It was a quiet evening, just like any other, but something felt different. Inside the cold, metallic walls of the lab, a team of scientists had been working on the new project for months. The goal: to develop a powerful railgun capable of launching projectiles at unimaginable speeds, faster than any weapon in history. Dr. Emily Carson stood at the control panel, her fingers trembling slightly as she monitored the final adjustments. She had been at the forefront of this project, pouring her heart and soul into its success. The railgun, still in its prototype stage, had the potential to change everything, if it worked. But no one could have predicted the outcome. "Is everything ready?" Dr. Carson asked, her voice steady despite the unease building in her chest. Her colleague, Dr. Alex Huang, glanced at her nervously. "Just about. We're good to go, but we still don't know what will happen when we fire it." "It's an experiment," Emily nodded, knowing the risks. "We'll only fire for a few seconds. We don't want to push it too far." The room fell silent as they activated the railgun. A low hum filled the air as electricity surged through the massive coils, powering up the weapon. The scientists watched in awe as the energy built, their eyes glued to the monitors. The room felt like it was holding its breath, firing in 3, 2, 1, Dr. Carson whispered. The room erupted in light as the railgun discharged. The blast was unlike anything they had expected. A sharp crack echoed through the lab, followed by a deafening pulse. The force of the blast rattled the walls, and Emily had to steady herself against the console. At first, they thought it was just the power surge. But then, something strange happened. The energy from the railgun didn't dissipate like it should have. Instead, it seemed to expand, spreading outward in an eerie, glowing wave. It wasn't just the shockwave from the blast, it was something much more. Something unnatural. Dr. Huang's voice cracked as he looked at the monitor. This isn't possible. What's happening?" Emily demanded, her heart racing as she stared at the screen. The energy wave was not just spreading, it was opening something. A crack, a tear, a rift in space itself. Before they could react, the rift grew larger, until it consumed the entire lab's view. And then, as if in response to the growing energy, a flashing red alert blared through the room. The air turned thick with tension as the screens began to flash strange symbols, foreign languages, and images of something otherworldly. Emily's hand flew to the communication console. "What's going on? This is not part of the plan. Can anyone hear me?" But the comms were dead, static. Absolute silence, and then from the other side of the rift came a sound. A deep, low hum, followed by the unmistakable flash of massive starships. Ships so large, they seemed to block out the stars themselves. Alien ships. Their dark silhouettes filled the sky, looming ominously over Earth like the shadows of a coming storm. Dr. Huang's voice was barely a whisper. "They're here. They're real." The scientists scrambled to react, but it was too late. The aliens had already seen them. Through the rift, they could now see the alien ships powering up their weapons, their hulls glowing with energy, the kind of energy Earth had never seen. The monitor blinked, showing the alien fleet's insignia, a symbol from a distant galaxy. We've triggered something," Emily said, her voice barely audible. Dr. Huang stumbled back, his eyes wide with fear. "This wasn't supposed to happen. We weren't ready for this. This is beyond anything we could have imagined." The rift continued to widen, and the alien ships began to move closer, their massive forms growing larger and larger on the screen. The unmistakable message flashed across their console: "Humanity's time is up." In that moment, Emily realized just how wrong they had been. The railgun, intended to be a new weapon for Earth's defense, had unleashed something far more dangerous than they could have ever prepared for. These aliens were no ordinary invaders. Their ships were far more advanced, their technology unfathomable. "Do we have a way to shut this down?" Emily shouted, but Dr. Huang's face told her everything she needed to know. "We can't, not now. The rift is stable. They're coming." The ground trembled as the alien fleet's warships began to descend, their engines leaving trails of fire in the sky. The sheer size of their ships was terrifying, dwarfing anything Earth had ever built. Earth had just triggered a countdown that led to the collapse of humanity's safety, to the beginning of their most dangerous fight. And as the alien fleet moved closer, the last thing Emily saw on the screen was the faces of the alien commanders, staring through the rift, their eyes glowing with a sense of deep, unsettling curiosity. They were not just coming for Earth. They were coming to see the species that had just shaken the foundation of the galaxy. The question now was, would humanity survive? As the screen flickered out, the room was left in darkness, the only sound the distant hum of the alien fleet drawing nearer. The world's leaders had been awakened by an unprecedented emergency. The alien fleet, massive and ominous, was now a reality. What had started as a seemingly innocuous test of a new military technology had spiraled into humanity's greatest crisis. The Railguns' unexpected side effect, the rift that had opened in space, had not only brought Earth's first alien encounter, but had also unlocked a door that the galaxy's most powerful civilizations had never thought possible. Humanity had just shown the galaxy that they were no longer beneath its watchful eyes. They had just crossed a threshold. In the control room of Earth's military command center, General Marcus Daniels paced nervously in front of the large holographic screens. His fingers hovered over the command console, but he didn't press any buttons. Every option seemed to lead to chaos. The enemy fleet was massive, outgunning anything Earth had built, and its technology was beyond comprehension. But what terrified him most was the realization that humanity's newfound power, teleportation, could be just as dangerous in the wrong hands. The faces of the alien commanders loomed large on the holographic screens, their expressions cold and unreadable. The alien fleet had come through the rift, and their ships were hovering just beyond Earth's orbit. The aliens didn't need to invade. They didn't need to land their forces. Their ships could strike with devastating force from the edge of space. And Earth had no defense, no answer. Yet the general couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope, a glimmer of possibility. The railgun had unlocked something incredible, something that Earth had never imagined. If only they could harness it, General. A voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Dr. Emily Carson, still in shock but composed. We've been analyzing the data from the Railguns test. The teleportation effect, it wasn't a glitch. It's real. Marcus turned, his brows furrowed. Real? What does that mean for us? Emily stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the data projections. The rift. It's not just a random anomaly. It's a doorway, one that we can control. The railgun's energy was so intense that it opened a space-time rift, allowing us to teleport things across unimaginable distances. But the real potential is that we can use it to go beyond even that. Marcus stared at her, struggling to wrap his mind around the implications. You mean we can send people and ships through it? To other parts of space? Yes, General, Emily replied, her voice gaining confidence. We've done it with small objects, and the test results show that it could be scaled. The technology is stable enough for us to control. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. This was Earth's one shot at survival. The aliens thought they were facing a helpless, primitive species. They were about to learn a very hard lesson. We need to act fast, Marcus said, his voice urgent. If they realize what we're capable of before we do, they'll wipe us out in a second. We need to deploy this tech now. Emily nodded, her mind already racing with possibilities. The first priority is to create a military fleet capable of teleportation. But it's not just about transporting ships or weapons. We need to move people quickly without being detected. We need to gain the element of surprise. Marcus paced again, his thoughts sharpening. I'll mobilize the fleet. But if we're going to do this, we'll need something bigger, something bolder. We can't just sneak around their forces. We need to hit them hard. We need to make them fear us. As the general's words echoed through the room, Emily's fingers flew over the console. The holographic projection showed a fleet of massive dark warships emerging from Earth's atmosphere, teleporting in and out of battle with terrifying speed. They would be faster than any enemy fleet, harder to track, impossible to predict. "General," Emily said quietly, her voice filled with a sense of awe. "We've never done anything like this before, but if we can create teleporting warships, we can fight them on our terms. The galaxy has never seen anything like this." Marcus looked up, meeting her gaze. "And we're going to show them." Back on Earth, millions of people were unaware of the looming threat hanging over their heads. The government had issued a global warning, telling the population to prepare for what could be the most dangerous war in human history. Cities were locked down, emergency protocols activated, and military units were mobilized. Humanity had never faced an enemy like this, one that could wipe out entire civilizations in the blink of an eye. Yet beneath the fear and uncertainty, there was a surge of determination. For the first time in history, Earth was no longer a backwater planet, dependent on the mercy of alien empires. The rift had changed everything. The aliens had no idea that their enemies, the humans they had so casually dismissed, had just unlocked a technology that could level the playing field. As Earth's warships began their preparations, General Daniels felt a cold fire burning inside him. They were ready to make their move, but something was gnawing at the back of his mind. The aliens hadn't just come to Earth. They had watched humanity's every step. They had seen this technology before. Emily's voice broke through his thoughts. "General, the data suggests that the aliens were aware of the technology. They must have been tracking us since the rift opened. They know we found something powerful." Marcus nodded grimly. "Then it's only a matter of time before they attack. We need to be ready." But as the final pieces of the teleportation fleet came together, no one knew how far this technology could take them. The enemy was watching, and humanity was about to enter a war they never thought would come. The rift had given them power, but it had also drawn the attention of the galaxy's most dangerous enemies. Now it was time to see if humanity could survive their own leap forward. The countdown to Earth's first teleportation strike began. The alien fleet was waiting, and Earth's destiny was in their hands. The morning sky was a mix of orange and purple as Earth's military forces gathered. The sheer magnitude of what was happening made every movement feel like it carried the weight of history. General Marcus Daniels stood in front of a massive war room display, watching as the fleet assembled. A sense of unease settled over him. He had led soldiers in battle before, but this wasn't like anything he had ever faced. The aliens, with their vast fleet, were out there, just waiting. The warships, each equipped with the teleportation technology that Earth had developed in secret, were now fully operational. This was humanity's answer to the alien threat. With the flick of a switch, Earth's fleet could disappear from one location and reappear in another, striking from unexpected angles, always elusive. It was their only advantage. "We're ready," Emily Carson's voice crackled through the intercom. She had been working non-stop to perfect the teleportation systems, ensuring that each ship could phase in and out of space without glitches. Marcus nodded. "Then it's time." He turned toward the officer in charge of the strike fleet. "Command, initiate the first strike. Coordinate the fleets and engage the enemy. Remember, we're not here to fight them head-on. We need to hit them where they least expect it." As the orders were given, Marcus watched the fleet on the screen. The warships, sleek and imposing, began to phase in and out of view, disappearing and reappearing in various locations. It was an incredible sight, but the real test would come when they faced the alien fleet in combat. The alien ships, with their dark, jagged designs and immense size, were still hovering at the edge of Earth's atmosphere. Their weapons had already locked onto Earth's defenses, preparing for a full-scale bombardment. They had the firepower, the numbers, and the experience. But humanity had something far more unpredictable: teleportation. As the fleet moved into position, Emily's voice returned over the intercom. "General, we've made contact. The alien fleet has begun to adjust their coordinates. They're trying to counter our movements. They're not taking us lightly anymore." Marcus didn't flinch. "Keep the pressure on them." "We'll break through," At that moment, a massive blast of energy erupted from the alien flagship. A beam of blue light shot toward Earth's fleet, cutting through the sky like a razor. Marcus held his breath, waiting to see if the teleportation tech could react fast enough. Then, in a flash, one of Earth's warships vanished, only to reappear seconds later, just behind the alien ship. The surprise attack was devastating. The ship's railguns fired before the enemy even had time to react. Explosions ripped through the alien flagship's hull. For a brief moment, it seemed like the battle was going in their favor. Humanity's first strike had landed, but the aliens quickly retaliated. A wave of smaller craft detached from the flagship, and they began weaving in and out of the battle with frightening speed. Their weapons were powerful, and their ships were agile. The alien fleet, despite being outgunned, was more experienced and better coordinated than Earth had anticipated. Another blast of energy hit one of Earth's warships, and the ship flickered in and out of existence, struggling to stabilize. A tense moment of silence followed. Had the ship failed? Was their teleportation system broken? Then a few seconds later, the warship reappeared. Its engines powered down, but its weapons still functional. "Get them out of there," Marcus ordered. "Now!" Full retreat and regroup. But before Earth's fleet could retreat, the unexpected happened. The rift, the very rift that had brought the aliens to Earth, began to flicker and pulse with energy. It was growing unstable. Marcus watched as the alien fleet, taking advantage of the chaos, began to concentrate fire on the source of the rift itself, trying to close the doorway. Emily's voice once again was filled with urgency. "General, the rift's instability is spreading. If it closes, the teleportation system could collapse. We need to act now. If we lose the rift, we lose our advantage." The situation was becoming more dire by the second. Earth had just discovered teleportation technology, but now they had to figure out how to protect it. The alien fleet, recognizing the rift's significance, was determined to stop it from being used against them. Marcus clenched his fist. The stakes had escalated beyond just a battle for Earth's survival. If they lost the rift, they wouldn't just lose the war. They would lose their place in the galaxy forever. "Deploy reinforcements to the rift," he ordered. "We can't afford to let them destroy it. We're going to protect it no matter what." Earth's warships began to reposition, with a small group of them making their way toward the rift. The rest of the fleet, though battered, continued to clash with the alien ships in an effort to keep them distracted. As the battle raged on, Marcus could feel the tension rising. Every second that passed made it clearer. Earth's survival depended on whether they could hold on to their greatest weapon. If they lost the rift, they would be helpless. The aliens had shown they could outgun Earth's fleet. The only advantage they had was teleportation. And now, even that was in jeopardy. Then just as Earth's warships neared the rift, a blinding flash of light erupted from the alien flagship. A beam of concentrated energy surged toward the rift's core, and for a moment, everything went black. The rift began to flicker, sending out waves of destructive energy that destabilized Earth's fleet. Ships vanished, reappearing in unexpected locations, their systems overloaded. The shockwave from the blast sent tremors through the battlefield, and it was clear. The rift was on the verge of collapsing. "Hold on!" Marcus shouted, his voice filled with urgency. "We can't lose it!" As the final moments of the battle played out, Earth's fate hung in the balance. The aliens were determined to close the rift. Humanity, for the first time in history, had something to fight back with, a technology that could change the course of war. But would they be able to protect it long enough to win? Or would the rift close, and with it their only hope? The answer would come soon, whether they were ready or not. The first strike had been made, but the war was far from over. The screen flickered as another wave of enemy fire lit up the sky. The countdown had begun. The rift's fate and humanity's future hung by a thread. The battle had raged for hours, the sky above Earth thick with the flashes of weapons and the hum of powerful engines. Humanity's fleet, though battered and with fewer ships than they started with, continued to fight back with relentless tenacity. Yet as the conflict grew more intense, a sinking feeling took root in Marcus Daniels' chest. The aliens had underestimated humanity once, but they weren't making the same mistake again. Earth was not only fighting to defend itself, it was fighting for its place in the galaxy, and the stakes were rising with every passing minute. Inside the command center, the atmosphere was heavy. The sound of ringing alerts and the urgent murmurs of officers filled the room. On the giant holographic screens, Earth's warships continued their strategic teleportations, disappearing and reappearing in different locations to avoid being destroyed. But the alien ships were adapting. They had shifted tactics, no longer just firing blindly, but systematically targeting the teleportation rifts. They had studied humanity's new weapon, and now they were ready to counter it. Emily Carson, standing beside General Daniels, studied the tactical map with narrowed eyes. "General, the alien fleet is changing their tactics. They're going after the rift source, and they're not going to stop until they destroy it. If we lose the rift, we lose everything." Marcus stared at the screens, his mind racing. "We can't let them close it. They're trying to lock it down, but they're not sure how. They're too afraid of what it could do." The holographic map shifted, showing the coordinates of the alien fleet in relation to the rift. It was becoming clear that the situation was slipping out of their control. Humanity had opened a door into another dimension, a doorway the galaxy's oldest civilizations hadn't dared to explore. And now it was humanity's turn to hold that door open, or risk being crushed under the weight of the galaxy's might. "They're trying to close it, General. They know what we're capable of," Emily continued. "But they also know they can't let us keep this power." Marcus's jaw tightened. "Then we make them regret it. Assemble all remaining ships. We'll hit them where it hurts. It's time to show them that humanity won't go down without a fight." The call to arms rang out across Earth's fleet. Warships, though battered from the previous waves of battle, powered up their engines, preparing for a final stand. The Alien Council had never seen anything like this before. A race as young as humanity, wielding technology that could tear apart the fabric of space itself. They thought Earth was a minor threat, an anomaly, but they were about to learn that humans were not so easily defeated. Above Earth, the alien fleet hovered, a massive armada with dozens of warships arranged in a threatening formation. The flagship, the largest and most menacing of them all, bore the insignia of the Alien Council, a symbol of their authority over the galaxy. As it came into full view, Earth's leaders realized just how serious the situation had become. The Council had come to Earth, and they weren't going to negotiate. They were here to end humanity's existence. The alien leaders, cold and calculating, sat in their war room aboard the flagship. Their species had conquered countless worlds, subjugating those weaker than themselves. They had wiped out entire civilizations that had dared to resist. But humanity was different. There was something about Earth's resilience, its ability to adapt, that made them an unpredictable force. And that unpredictability was what frightened the Council the most. "We cannot allow them to keep the rift open," the lead counselor Tazan said, his voice harsh and commanding. His alien face was emotionless, but there was a glint of something darker in his eyes. "If they master this power, they could destroy everything we've worked for. We will not let them challenge the authority of the Council." His second-in-command, a towering figure with a jagged crown of alien bone, nodded in agreement. "Prepare to close the rift permanently. We will destroy it. Humanity has proven its worth in one area, war, but they are nothing compared to us." The alien fleet began to move into position, their warships powering up to unleash a final, devastating assault. Humanity had proven its ability to adapt and fight back, but the aliens were prepared to end this conflict once and for all. Their fleets, more experienced and better equipped, would crush the humans before they could learn to use the rift's full potential. Back on Earth, the final assault was underway. General Daniels watched as Earth's warships blinked in and out of existence, targeting the alien fleet's weak points. For every alien ship they destroyed, it felt like a victory. But there was no time to savor it. The rift, the heart of their advantage, was beginning to falter. The aliens had launched a full-scale assault on its core. "They're trying to shut it down," Emily said, her voice tight with fear. "We can't let them. We need to get a team inside their flagship. If we can disrupt their command center, we can disable their ability to close the rift." Marcus nodded grimly. "Send a strike team, now. We need to hit them at the heart of their operations." A group of specially trained soldiers, equipped with the most advanced teleportation tech humanity had developed, was quickly assembled. They would teleport directly into the alien flagship. No room for error, no time to waste. Earth's future depended on their success. As the strike team prepared, the tension in the command center mounted. The alien flagship was looming large in the distance, its weapons ready to fire, its power unmatched. But humanity had the element of surprise. They had come from nothing and had already achieved the impossible. Now they would take the fight directly to the alien council. In the heart of the alien ship, the strike team materialized in a burst of light. They were inside the council's command center. The air was thick with alien technology, and the alien councillors stood in stunned silence as the humans appeared out of nowhere. The team moved swiftly, their weapons drawn, as they blasted their way toward the control room. Outside, the alien fleet began to regroup, readying for the final strike that would close the rift forever. But inside the flagship, the tide was turning. Humanity's soldiers had one shot to disrupt the Council's control and save their planet. The final battle for Earth's survival was about to begin, and it would take every ounce of humanity's strength and determination to win. But time was running out. The alien council was growing impatient, and the rift was beginning to collapse. Would Earth's strike team succeed? Or would the galaxy's ancient rulers crush humanity's last hope? The fate of Earth and the entire galaxy now rested on the outcome of this single moment. The strike team had infiltrated the alien flagship. Their stealthy approach, a testament to humanity's rapidly advancing military technology. Each soldier was equipped with the latest in teleportation gear, ensuring that they could move from one location to the next without the aliens even realizing it. Their mission was simple: get to the heart of the flagship, disable the control systems, and stop the alien fleet from closing the rift. Inside the command center of the alien flagship, chaos erupted. As the humans made their move, alien commanders scrambled to react, their calculated confidence shattering in the face of this unexpected attack. The humans, once considered a simple nuisance, were now in the heart of their empire, causing havoc in the very ship they thought was invincible. But as the battle unfolded inside the flagship, a greater storm was brewing outside. Earth's fleet, battered but relentless, continued to engage the alien forces in a brutal dogfight above the planet. The teleported warships flickered in and out of existence, their railguns firing at full force. For every alien warship destroyed, another seemed to take its place. But despite the odds, humanity was holding its ground. The rift, the heart of the conflict, remained open. Humanity's key to victory. "General, we've secured the rift." Emily's voice rang out over the comms, her words bringing a momentary sense of hope. "But we're running out of time. The alien fleet is reorganizing. We need to hold our position until the strike team finishes their mission." Marcus nodded, his mind working fast. "We don't have the luxury of waiting. The aliens are adapting. It's now or never. Bring in the warship prototype." Emily's eyes widened as the realization hit. "The prototype? Are you sure?" "This is the only chance we've got," Marcus replied firmly. "We've held our own with the teleportation tech, but now we need something to really turn the tide. The warship prototype's ability to phase in and out of battle is our best shot at breaking the alien forces. If we can get it into the fight, we'll have a fighting chance." The warship prototype, a massive vessel designed to be humanity's ultimate weapon, was a closely guarded secret. Built in the depths of Earth's most secure military base, it was equipped with advanced teleportation technology, railguns capable of ripping through enemy shields, and a crew of elite soldiers trained for this moment. It had never been tested in real combat, but the time for hesitation was over. Humanity's survival depended on it. The prototype warship, codenamed Nemesis, powered up, its engines igniting with a roar. Its sleek, angular frame shimmered in and out of existence as it phased in and out of the fabric of space. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Above Earth, the alien fleet began to realize what was happening. The Nemesis was teleporting in and out of space, its weapons firing with deadly accuracy. Its railguns shredded through the alien ships with a power that seemed almost unnatural, its attacks precise and devastating. The alien commanders were stunned. The Nemesis was unlike anything they had ever faced, its speed and firepower overwhelming their fleets. It wasn't just a warship, it was a symbol of humanity's unexpected technological leap. The aliens had underestimated humanity before, but they were beginning to see that Earth was no longer just another primitive species in the galaxy. As the Nemesis wreaked havoc on the alien fleet, the strike team inside the flagship pressed on. Their mission had taken them deep into the heart of the enemy ship. They had fought their way through alien defenses, hacking into systems and disabling weapons. Now they were nearing the control room, the final objective. The tension was palpable. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. Captain Sarah Mitchell, leading the strike team, glanced at her team. Sweat dripped down her face, her breathing heavy, but there was no time to rest. They had come too far to fail now. "We're almost there," Captain Mitchell said, her voice steady but urgent. "Keep moving!" The team advanced through the narrow corridors, silently taking down any alien soldiers in their path. The interior of the flagship was a labyrinth of technology and alien design, an unsettling blend of organic and mechanical elements. They reached the control room's entrance, and Captain Mitchell signaled for the team to stop. She raised her hand to her ear, listening to the comms. "General, we're at the control room." "We're going in. Good luck, Captain," Marcus's voice came through. "You're humanity's last hope." With a nod, Captain Mitchell gave the order. The door to the control room slammed open, and the team stormed inside. The alien commanders, sitting in their high-tech command chairs, turned in shock. Before they could react, the strike team opened fire. The fight was brief but intense. The aliens were not used to this kind of close-quarter combat. The humans were faster, stronger, and more resourceful. One by one, the alien commanders fell. Captain Mitchell moved swiftly to the control console, her hands flying over the alien technology. She had studied their systems, learning everything she could in the short time they had to prepare. With a single command, she activated the system override. The control room lights flickered as the alien defenses began to shut down. Outside, the alien fleet began to falter. Without their command center functioning, the ships lost coordination. The Nemesis continued its assault, phase-shifting through enemy formations, its railguns lighting up the darkness. Earth's fleet was gaining the upper hand. For the first time since the war began, the tide was turning. The rift, still open, shimmered with energy. Humanity had managed to hold on to their greatest weapon. The alien fleet was in disarray, their advanced technology now turned against them. "Captain Mitchell," Emily's voice crackled over the comms. "The rift is stable. We've got control." Captain Mitchell allowed herself a brief moment of relief, but there was no time to celebrate. The alien fleet was regrouping, their anger and desperation palpable. They had lost their chance to close the rift, but they weren't about to give up without a fight. "We've won this battle. But the war is far from over," Captain Mitchell said, her voice filled with determination. "Prepare for the next phase." Earth had made its stand, and though the Alien Council had underestimated humanity's resolve, they would soon learn the cost of that mistake. As the Nemesis continued to tear through the alien forces, the war was far from over, but humanity had proven it would never back down. The alien fleet, though wounded and in disarray, was not finished. The first few waves of Earth's assaults had struck hard, but the alien commanders, now more desperate than ever, began to regroup. The destruction of their flagship had crippled their leadership, but the remaining ships had been hastily reorganized into a new formation. They were determined to strike back, and they had an overwhelming advantage in firepower. Inside Earth's command center, General Marcus Daniels felt the tension tightening in his chest. The Nemesis was doing well, but there were too many enemies left. His eyes flicked over the battlefield map, and the numbers didn't add up in Earth's favor. The alien fleet was still formidable. Despite the rift being stabilized, the aliens had recovered faster than anticipated. Time was running out. General, Emily Carson's voice broke through his thoughts. We've lost contact with several of our teleporting warships. Their systems are malfunctioning. It's like the aliens have found a way to disrupt our teleportation tech, Marcus cursed under his breath. We can't afford to lose any more ships. How long do we have before the alien fleet reorganizes? Minutes at best, Emily replied grimly. If we don't act fast, they'll gain the upper hand. Marcus knew what needed to be done. The last few days had been filled with constant battles, but now Earth had to do something they hadn't done before, take the fight to the alien homeworld. It was a desperate move, one that could end the war in a single stroke or doom humanity to extinction. There was no middle ground. Prepare the warship prototype for immediate deployment, Marcus said, his voice steady despite the growing chaos. We're taking the fight to their doorstep. Emily's eyes widened. You want to attack their homeworld? Are you sure that's the best? There's no other choice. If we can hit them where it hurts, destroy their primary fleet, they'll have no choice but to surrender or face total annihilation. We won't get a second chance. Emily nodded reluctantly, but her face was filled with doubt. Understood, General. I'll mobilize the prototype. Meanwhile, on Earth's battlefront, the Nemesis continued its relentless assault. Its railguns tore through alien warships with brutal efficiency, its teleportation system moving it between strikes faster than the alien fleet could react. The prototype was a game-changer, and humanity was exploiting it to its fullest potential. But the alien commanders had one last trick up their sleeves. As Earth's fleet pressed their advantage, a new weapon, one that had never been seen before, began to charge on the alien flagship. It was unlike anything humanity had encountered. General, incoming! Shouted one of the officers from the radar station. The alien flagship is charging a massive energy weapon. It's not like any beam we've seen. It's destabilizing the space around it. Marcus's blood ran cold. This wasn't just a weapon. It was a force designed to rip through the very fabric of space. It could destroy the rift and everything inside it. Evasive maneuvers. Marcus barked. Move every ship out of its trajectory. Don't give them a clear shot. But it was too late. The alien flagship fired the weapon, and the beam shot out, tearing through the vast expanse of space. The energy from the blast warped reality itself, distorting the light and space around it like a cosmic whirlpool. The beam hit Earth's fleet, and the explosion sent shockwaves across the battlefield. Ships flickered in and out of existence, some completely disappearing, their teleportation systems overloaded. The Nemesis was forced to disengage, and for a brief moment, Earth's forces were left vulnerable. Report. Marcus shouted, his voice rising above the chaos. One of the officers managed to compose himself long enough to respond. General, we've lost 2 of our key warships. The Nemesis is still operational, but its systems are failing. We can't keep teleporting it in and out without risking complete failure. Damn it! Marcus slammed his fist onto the console, frustration mounting. We can't let them get away with this. We need a counterattack, now. With Earth's fleet reeling from the alien flagship's devastating attack, Marcus knew the only way to stop the alien advance was to strike at their heart. The alien flagship was the key to everything, and its destruction would cripple the alien fleet. Captain Mitchell, Marcus called out over the comms, we need you to initiate a full assault on the flagship. Disable their main weapons and do not allow them to fire that energy weapon again. Captain Mitchell's voice came through calm and determined. Understood, General. We'll take care of it. This ends now. The Nemesis phased back into existence, its systems barely holding together as it launched one final assault. The remaining warships, desperate but determined, moved in to support the attack. Together, they would strike at the alien flagship's core, their weapons firing in synchronized bursts of destruction. Inside the alien flagship, panic set in. The human fleet, though battered and broken, was still fighting. They had underestimated the humans, and now it was too late to stop them. As Earth's ships closed in on their target, the alien commanders scrambled to respond, but their fleet had lost cohesion. Their energy weapon was still charging, but it was too late. The humans were already on top of them. Captain Mitchell and her team teleported inside the alien flagship once again. Their mission now clear: destroy the energy weapon and disable the flagship's command systems. They fought their way through the corridors, taking down alien soldiers one by one. Finally, they reached the central control room, where the massive energy weapon was primed and ready to fire. "Captain, we have one shot at this," one of the soldiers said, his hands shaking as he worked to override the alien systems. Captain Mitchell nodded. "Do it!" With a final surge of effort, the team disabled the alien weapon, cutting off the energy supply. The alien flagship, now vulnerable, was exposed to Earth's full assault. The Nemesis fired one last devastating blow, and the alien flagship exploded in a violent burst of light, sending shockwaves through the battlefield. The remaining alien ships, leaderless and disorganized, began to retreat, their morale shattered. The rift, still open, flickered with energy as Earth's fleet regrouped. "We've won," Marcus said, a sense of disbelief in his voice. "But we're not done yet. There's still more to come." Earth had won the first major battle of the war, but the Alien Council would not rest. They had underestimated humanity's resilience, but now the galaxy would know the true power of Earth's people. The fight for survival was far from over, but humanity had proven one thing: they would never surrender. And no matter how powerful the aliens were, they had no idea what they were truly up against. The aftermath of the alien flagship's destruction sent shockwaves through the battlefield, and the effects rippled far beyond Earth's atmosphere. The alien fleet, which had once been a seemingly invincible force, was now in retreat. Their command structure had crumbled, their flagship destroyed, and their energy weapon disabled. Earth had dealt a devastating blow, but as the dust settled, Marcus Daniels knew this battle was only a small part of a much larger conflict. The Alien Council had been humiliated, but they were far from finished. The Nemesis moved slowly through the wreckage of the alien armada, its systems still unstable from the damage it had sustained in the battle. The crew was exhausted, but their eyes gleamed with victory. They had struck at the heart of the alien fleet and come out on top. Yet Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of something far darker. Inside the command center, Emily Carson watched the status reports coming in from the surviving warships. Earth's fleet had suffered significant casualties, and the rift was still open, unstable, and flickering in and out of existence. She turned to Marcus, her face tense. "General, the rift is unstable. We've sustained some damage to the teleportation systems, and if we don't stabilize it soon, it could collapse entirely. We might lose our ability to use the teleporters." Marcus looked at her with furrowed brows. "How long do we have before it destabilizes?" "Maybe a few hours at most," Emily replied. "If we don't get reinforcements and repair the teleportation systems, it could collapse much faster. And if that happens, our entire advantage is gone." Marcus clenched his jaw. They had managed to survive the alien counterattack, but the war was far from over. The aliens would regroup, they would adapt, and they would come back. Earth was now a prime target, and the rift was humanity's greatest weapon. They had to protect it at all costs, prepare the Nemesis for immediate deployment. "I want every available warship on standby, and we need to secure the rift," Marcus ordered. "We can't afford another surprise attack." As the orders went out, Emily looked up at the large holographic map of Earth and the surrounding galaxy. She watched as alien ships, scattered and disorganized, began to retreat into the darkness of space. The alien fleet had been broken, but she knew it wasn't over. There were other alien factions in the galaxy, and the Council would not sit idle after this defeat. "General, I've been analyzing their retreat patterns," Emily said, her voice full of uncertainty. "It's not just a retreat. They're signaling for reinforcements. They've lost their flagship, but they're calling for help from their allies. We can't let them regroup, Marcus met her gaze. What are you suggesting? I'm suggesting we strike now, while we still have the advantage, Emily said, her eyes fierce. We've broken their chains, but they'll come back stronger if we don't push them while they're vulnerable. Marcus felt a cold fire burning inside him. He knew Emily was right. The aliens wouldn't let this defeat stand without a response, and Earth's time to strike was slipping away. Get our warships ready, Marcus said, his voice steady. We'll strike at their remaining fleets. We'll show the galaxy that Earth isn't just a survivor. We're a force to be reckoned with. But even as the fleet prepared to launch its counteroffensive, an unsettling message came through the communication channels. This is the Galactic Council. The voice was cold and emotionless. You have proven yourselves worthy of our attention, but you will never be allowed to challenge the galaxy's authority again. Reinforcements are already on their way. Your victory will be short-lived. Prepare yourselves for the reckoning. The message was short, but it was clear. The aliens had underestimated humanity once, but they wouldn't make that mistake again. Earth's victory had come at a cost, and the Council's retaliation would be swift and brutal. As Marcus processed the message, he knew what had to be done. Earth had to act fast. They couldn't afford to wait for reinforcements. The Alien Council was preparing for another strike, one that could wipe humanity off the map. We have to protect the rift, Marcus said, his voice firm. If the Council sends reinforcements through that rift, we'll lose everything. We need to hold them off long enough to stabilize it. We don't know what kind of reinforcements they have, but we can't take any chances. The fleet moved out in full force, warships streaking through space as they prepared to defend Earth's most valuable asset, the rift. The fight had shifted from a battle for survival to a battle for control over the galaxy's future. Above Earth, the rift shimmered, flickering dangerously as the battle raged around it. Alien warships began to appear on the horizon, massive reinforcements streaming through the rift's unstable energy field. They were unlike anything Earth had seen before, giant war-ready ships bristling with weapons and energy shields. It's happening, Emily said, her voice tight with urgency. The reinforcements are coming through. We need to push them back now. General Marcus Daniels stared out at the incoming fleet, his mind racing. Deploy every available warship. We cannot let them pass through. We have one chance to stop them, and if we don't succeed, it's all over. As Earth's fleet engaged the alien reinforcements, the Nemesis and the other warships teleported in and out of the battle, launching devastating attacks on the incoming alien forces. The clash of Titanic warships, railguns, and energy blasts filled the space around the rift, the stakes higher than ever before. On the ground, humanity's soldiers stood ready. They had fought for their homes, for their planet, and now they were fighting for their future. The rift had opened a new chapter in humanity's history, a chapter that was still being written in the heat of battle. But even as Earth's forces held the line, Marcus knew that the true battle was only beginning. The galaxy was watching, and the fate of the human race rested on their ability to defend this rift and hold their ground against the galaxy's most powerful enemies. The Council would not forget this defeat, and next time they would come in force. The rift flickered again. The battle for Earth's survival was reaching its breaking point. Would humanity stand firm, or would they fall before the overwhelming power of the galaxy's might? Only time would tell. The great collapse had begun, and the galaxy was about to witness humanity's final stand. The rift flickered once more, its unstable energy casting strange, chaotic lights across the battlefield. Earth's fleet, battered and barely holding together after the relentless alien assault, continued to defend the rift with everything they had left. Warships teleported in and out of existence, their weapons firing at full force, while soldiers on the ground scrambled to maintain the fragile hold they had on the planet's defenses. General Marcus Daniels stood at the command console, his eyes fixed on the chaotic battlefield outside. The alien fleet, despite their severe losses, had returned in full force, their reinforcements far more advanced than anything Earth had ever seen. The last few hours had been a blur of strategy, chaos and desperate counterattacks, but the rift was still open, and with it, the possibility that humanity's very existence could be snuffed out in an instant. "We're losing control of the rift," Emily Carson said, her voice tight with tension. She stood beside Marcus, eyes glued to the holographic map of Earth's defense systems. "The alien fleet is breaking through. We can't hold them off much longer. If that rift closes, we won't have access to the teleportation tech anymore, and without it we lose our edge." Marcus clenched his jaw. "I know, but we can't just close the rift. We need to keep it open, or we're sitting ducks." As if on cue, another massive wave of alien warships emerged from the rift, their energy shields crackling with immense power. The Nemesis, Earth's most powerful warship, phased in and out of the chaos, its weapons firing relentlessly at the advancing alien forces. But even with the prototype's strength, Earth's forces were starting to feel the pressure. "General," Captain Mitchell's voice came through the comms. "We've done everything we can. The Nemesis is barely functional, and the alien fleet is pushing back. They're getting too close to the rift's core. We can't keep this up." Marcus's mind raced. He had led humanity through impossible odds before, but this was different. The aliens had not just come to conquer Earth, they had come to erase everything humanity had fought for. And now, humanity was on the brink of losing the very technology that had given them an advantage. The rift. "We have to stop them now," Marcus muttered. "This battle can't drag on any longer. We need to shut them out of the rift before it's too late." But then, just as it seemed like all hope might be lost, a new message appeared on Earth's comms network. It wasn't from Earth's fleet, nor was it from the alien forces. The message was encrypted, coming from an unknown source, a voice Earth had never heard before. "This is the Elder Council." The voice was calm, yet filled with an unmistakable weight. "We've been observing your battle from the edges of the galaxy. You have proven yourselves resilient, something that we did not expect from such a young species." Marcus froze. The Elder Council. He had heard rumors of such an entity, but no one had ever confirmed their existence. The voice continued, its tone turning slightly more urgent. "You stand on the brink of an irreversible decision, General Daniels. The Alien Council's destruction is inevitable, but what comes after could either save or doom your species. The rift you have opened is not just a tool for war, it is a doorway to something far greater. And with it, humanity has the potential to change the course of the galaxy. But that power must be wielded wisely." Emily turned to Marcus, her face full of confusion and fear. "What does that mean? What is the Elder Council talking about?" Marcus's mind raced. This was not just about survival anymore. The rift wasn't just a gateway to teleportation. It was a key to something much larger, something humanity had yet to comprehend. The voice from the Elder Council had given them a choice, one that Marcus couldn't yet understand fully. The message continued. "We offer you guidance, but at a cost. The rift is unstable, and it must either be sealed or controlled. We can help you stabilize it, but you must make a choice, General. If you close the rift, you will lose access to its power, and humanity will return to the dark ages of warfare. If you open it further, you risk exposing your species to a galaxy far older and far more dangerous than you realize." The voice paused, and Marcus could feel the weight of the decision hanging in the air. The alien forces were nearly upon them, and the rift was flickering in and out of existence. Humanity was on the precipice, and they had been given an impossible choice. "You must decide, General," the voice said, almost as if it were a final warning. "Close the rift, and you protect your world from what's to come, but you will lose the ability to harness its power. Open it further, and you may gain unimaginable strength, but you will be exposed to forces that may destroy you." The message cut off abruptly, leaving Earth's command center in stunned silence. The battlefield outside was chaotic, alien ships advancing as their weapons charged. Earth's warships were on the defensive, barely able to hold their ground. Marcus looked at Emily, and she looked back at him, both understanding the weight of what had just been said. There was no going back from this. The fate of humanity rested on their decision. "We don't have much time," Emily whispered, her voice trembling with the gravity of the situation. Marcus turned to face the holographic display, watching as the alien fleet drew closer to the rift. He knew what this meant for humanity. They had come so far, fought so hard to reach this point. But now, everything depended on one decision. They could close the rift, cut off their access to the power it offered, and retreat into the safety of the known universe, or they could open it even further, risking everything for the possibility of becoming something far greater than humanity had ever dreamed. With a deep breath, Marcus made his choice. Open it! The command was simple, but its consequences were far-reaching. The rift flared brightly, its energy surging outward in a massive pulse, engulfing everything in its path. The alien fleet hesitated, their ships faltering as they felt the raw power emanating from the rift. But it was too late. The unknown forces beyond the rift stirred. Something far greater than the alien council was awakening. And as Marcus watched the energy cascade through space, he knew that humanity's fate had just been sealed, whether for glory or for destruction. The rift had been opened further, and what came next would be a storm of unimaginable power. The question was no longer whether humanity could survive. It was whether they could control what they had unleashed. The final choice had been made, and now Earth would face the consequences.